You get it's like laying on the beach for too long. That feeling that, you know, your eyes are all dried out, and your ears ring, and your fillings, if you got metal fillings, you can actually taste the RF. And the longest I've ever spent on the tower is 16 hours, and I totally fried myself.
Okay, this is Eric Windheim, building biologist. We're in Arlington, Virginia. We're measuring some cell phone antennas that are on the roof of a apartment complex. And we're getting readings of over 1,000. This is over 1 million microwatts per meter squared. We're leaving now.
They're leaving now, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Stranger Than Fiction News, broadcasting live from the dark side of the planet. All sorts of issues with the video guy. Sometimes you just wish you could start a broadcast over again. But that's the beauty of live television. I'm sure we're going to do a better broadcast for the show today. You can already tell this just isn't going to do it. But in any case, we did want to share some bombshell information with everybody out there once again and spend a little time with people in the chat. And where should we begin? 5G death towers will target victims based on Facebook profile. How do you think they're going to do that? Do you think they can do that? Do you think you might be targeted out there based on your politics? Is that a possibility in today's America, in today's world? We're seeing nothing but that, ladies and gentlemen. You know, from the Roger Stone case, the Julian Assange case, many others, people being targeted by the deep state and other nefarious organizations based on their political beliefs. And of course, systems like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and you name it are there basically to record your political beliefs for one, and then, you know, everything else after that. But they know exactly, you know, who you are, who you think you are out there. And these death towers are perfect weapons in disguise. And people don't even know it. They don't know what these things can do. And if they did, they'd be out there tearing these things down. I'm sure most people have heard of the idea of a phased array antenna, of how that works and the like. But in fact, here's an idea that you might not be familiar with. You know, that these cell towers are working like microwave ovens. And, you know, as is your Wi-Fi. And so if you turn on a microwave oven, that is going to mess with your reception, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we're trying to cue in something. This is a fucking catastrophe. Fire the video guy. Fire the fucking video guy. How's everybody doing out there? Anybody left out there? I want to say hi to everybody that's tuned in as we're just warming up for the main show. You thought this was it. No. We just wanted to come and say hi. And we're in the studio trying to put a show together. Does anybody know how difficult it is to put a show together, let alone on live television? Have you tried it? You should try it out there. And so, there you go. Much love out there to Richie and Rune and everybody that's out there. Janet, Aaron, Plumber, Amy, Jesper, Alex, and the like. How you guys doing out there? Okay, we were talking about reverse beamforming. This is a very interesting idea. Did you know that radar and cell towers have quite a bit in common? And in fact, they've been working on turning these cell towers into urban radar platforms since at least 2000. Not only, you know, in the cities, but in many other places. And they're just, you know, just lighting everything up with it, literally. and they can basically see the passive waves that come back and determine, what an object might be. But it's a remarkable tracking device just all by itself. And when you got a phone connected to Facebook pinging out a signal, I mean, that's double the pleasure for these people. They can target you even better. And you're just easy pickings out there when it comes to these death towers. And they can just, phase these beams at you in many different ways and, basically turn an entire neighborhood into a hot zone out there. And everybody should be concerned. We covered a suburb in Chicago. It was like the last conservative suburb. And they were just putting up death towers everywhere, and people were, feeling it. Cancer clusters out there as well. We covered that in the archives. The name of the suburb is just kind of like escaping me right now, but there's no doubt that these death towers are weaponized. What's up, Sands out there? What's up, Brad? How's everybody doing? But yeah, I mean, we've been looking at the evolution of these death towers, for the last 10 years. You can see them on video, and I think we have some of these videos where you have, just the real skinny little kind of rectennas, and now you got these big, massive things, plus the death pods everywhere. And, it's becoming a big concern. We've been talking about this in, previous broadcasts, the readings that we're getting in the new 5G networks. It's like a microwave oven. It uses pretty much the same idea, and they can use these death towers basically kind of like, urban sonar, like scanning radar. You've heard of that before, but I mean, it literally, this is the case. We've posted a couple of articles on our website, stfnreport.com. You can check it out. One's from IEEE, and then there's another one where, it just talks about, using these cell towers as radar. And undoubtedly, they've been, doing that behind the scenes, targeting people. And, they could probably profile your electronic signature in many different ways through these death towers, not just your cell phones, but, how tall you are, where your last known position was. And so there's really, a lot to think about as far as the targeting capability of these death towers, as well as, the overall general effect in your urban environment, how it basically bombards, the entire city with death rays. And, there's just so much to cover, so much to talk about, so much to think about when it comes to these death towers and this death grid, because it's not just the 5G cell towers that you can see, it's the satellites that you can't see. And, they've basically just put a microwave oven in a different little box. They've called it Wi-Fi. And, this test tells you everything you need to know. With Wi-Fi on, nothing grows. And you can try this out for yourself if you want to. But this technology is a killer. And that's why there's like legions of professors, doctors, you name it, out there trying to stop the 5G. And of course, the telecoms, the beast system, they don't want to listen. They don't want to hear nothing about, people being concerned. And so they censor everything, shut everybody down. And, it's really impossible to warn anybody out there. Basically, you're going to have to get on your horse and do a Paul Revere. And literally, that's what people are going to have to do. Get on your horse, get in your car, go to door if you have to, and find out who wants to take down these death towers. They can't stop you all. And look, we've been able to look at the different spectrums, and with the EMF 390, and there's a lot of stuff that you're not able to block out, and there's a lot of stuff that's being transmitted all the time, not just the commercial stuff, but you got all sorts of over the horizon radar basically raining down on your location as we speak. And the numbers are really just kind of far out there. It's like they're trying to kill us all, and nobody's really aware. And I think that everybody should, kind of think about that. Want to say hi to everybody in the audience. Amy, Hugh, Tanya, Standing, Mannequin out there, Slip Dragon, Sands. How's everybody doing? Let us know. Do you guys have any death towers in your neighborhoods yet? Have you taken any readings? Do you know what you're being exposed to? What do the neighbors look like out there? Are they looking a little witchy? Are people looking a little witchy out there? We have to ask this question because it looks like, the full-blown demonic invasion from another world. You got clones on television. It looks like their plans are well advanced and we're being caught off guard. You know what I mean, ladies and gentlemen? And now they're surrounding us with death towers. We're like in the final throes of humanity and nobody really knows it. But, these death towers, there's something else. They're everywhere. And so tell us about the death towers, man. I mean, look at these things. They're camouflaged, they're weaponized, they track you, and you can bet it's only going to get worse. And if you've got a phone, I mean, these things can scan the room that you're in. The technology is kind of like, the movie Batman, except they're not using ultrasound, they're using EMF waves. And you've probably heard, things of this nature with like Wi-Fi or with 5G, that it's able to scan your room. But they've been able to scan people's rooms probably since the early 2000s, as far as we can tell in the technology literature that's out there. Again, we've posted a couple articles that really talk about the use of cell towers as basically dirty radar. And they can basically reconstruct the passive waves, the echoes, the phase shifts in the in the wave fronts and the like, to figure out everything in proximity, what's moving and the like. And they probably could do some other freaky things as well. And we know with this phased array technology that they're able to form beams right at people's phones. I mean, that's in all of the patents. I mean, this is going to be happening. Beamforming is like the new thing. And but there's an idea called reverse beamforming, which is basically the use of basically passive reception to reconstruct the environment that is around the tower. And so they can basically, hone in on anything that moves and just start zapping people, and nobody would know. And nobody's policing this stuff. But what we can tell, as far as monitoring with the EMF 390, is that they are creating spotlight effects like you're seeing here. There are hot zones out there, and they're usually pointed at places where people have to go, like the gas station. You have to get gas. They point them at the parking lots, specifically at the parking lots of shopping centers and grocery stores, places you have to go. And people thought it might be a little suspicious that they were parking these things on top of schools. Oh, they're definitely out to get you. They're out to get you, your children, everybody. They don't care. And when you see one of these death towers, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that this isn't good news, right? These things don't look good. Nobody wants one of these things anywhere near them. And they're just looking more and more nefarious, and they're everywhere now. And again, there's an army of doctors and professors and scholars and the like that are trying to stop this 5G. It hasn't been tested. They want to actually phaser beam people like the Starship Enterprise and sell it to you like it's awesome. And you look at these people on television, it's far from awesome out there, to say the least. And
this video will be a simple demonstration of the large
you with it. And again, they're saying it's safe, and it's just you look at these experiments with the Wi-Fi off, everything is normal, and then they turn the Wi-Fi on and nothing grows, right? And the readings that we're getting right now in these 5G networks is that it's as bad as a microwave oven. So I guess people really, are going to have to choose.
It's like being cooked.
Yeah, it's like being cooked, ladies and gentlemen, literally, because it's microwave, oven energy being blasted at you in your home. How many of you have a router? How many how many of you have Wi-Fi at home, ladies and gentlemen? And you're out there sharing shit about like the Georgia Guidestones. You're like, I know these people are out to get me. They're chemtrailing, they're fluoridating, all of this stuff. How else could they possibly get me? Oh, well, they've put a fucking microwave oven in your living room, covered with like a little thin piece of plastic, and they're blasting everybody with it. That's your router. And then your phone, I mean, you got that thing just like, right there next to your gonads, just blasting away. And I don't know what to say to people out there. You know what I mean? And that's why these death towers have to go. One way or the other, these death towers have to go. They're definitely going to be targeting Christians and conservatives. I guarantee it. I guarantee you this is already happening. I guarantee you people are being microwaved, while they sleep, microwaved as they walk down the street. I guarantee you you're already being targeted by the system. It's not, anybody's imagination. That's exactly what these things are set up for. You look at the chipsets and the way these things are designed, it's like alien technology. I mean, it's so beyond like, a radio transmitter. You know what I mean? These things are weaponized, to say the least. The way you see these things loaded and they're pointed at people, like directly where people go, when they could be like literally 20 miles away from the road, they park them like right on the road, and then they point the beam like right where everybody goes. And this is like how they do it, like at the shopping center, at the grocery store, at your schools. And so if you don't want to get upset about the fluoride, the vaccines, the GMOs, the pesticides, the terraforming, the indoctrination, all that stuff, you don't want to get, offended by that. Get offended by these death towers because they're nuking everybody. And of course, some of these greedy fuckers, running the telecoms, they're making out like bandits. But you could bet, like, where they live, it's all EMF protected. They got the super EMF shields and all that stuff. They're not the ones getting cooked by this stuff, but everybody else is. And this is a dirty industry that's been that way since the beginning. You look at Lucent Technologies, which stood for Lucifer Enterprises, with products like Inferno. Their address was 666 Fifth Avenue. They were the backbone, one of the backbones of the whole telecommunications, internet kind of thing. On the ground, and they were the infrastructure, and no surprise that this stuff is out to get you. And so the question is, if you have to focus all of your energy on something, focus on these death towers, because that's a fight that we can win right now, and that's going to be at the back. That's going to be the backbone of their RoboCops, their Terminators, their drones. Their AI, their Matrix of tomorrow. And, this 5G must be stopped. And of course, this administration has made it a national security priority. Where's this guy now? At the Davos, ladies and gentlemen. And anytime I see, anything with the letters D and V, I'm thinking the devil. So no surprise. Oh, and did you know 666 Fifth Avenue is basically, at the White House? We're using cryptid language there. I'm not sure if everybody gets the meaning. But look, I mean, we're literally up against the beast system here. You see this mark of the beast on everything that you buy, the barcode and the like, and it won't be long before they're chipping everybody. They're product placing anti-Christian ideology 24/7 on the television. These people look like the devil. And what are the chances, of all of this happening if it was some kind of, fluke? Why don't these people look like reptiles or Smurfs or gremlins or something? Why do they actually look like this, folklore figure known as the devil? Ladies and gentlemen, why is this system rolling out a beast system? What is going on here? I think that is the question. Who do these people really work for? You know, why do you think they're rolling out these death towers? Ladies and gentlemen, do you think it's really so that you can have better reception, or is there something else going on? And look, it just kind of depends on how long you've been awake. I mean, your opinion, your perception of the situation is really going to depend on how long you've been awake. And if you're just now waking up to, you know, some of the strange and unusual, then, you know, maybe you're not ready for the total package, you know. But people that have been awake for long enough, you know, since 9/11, New World Order, the works. You know, it's no surprise that these people are rolling out, you know, death towers and poisoning everything. Again, the question is, why? Why are they trying to eliminate humanity? And do you really want to stop them? Have you seen these people in the big cities? You know, sometimes, you know, when the truck is coming down the road, you just got to get out of the way. You know, why stand in the way of, you know, this project right now, really, when it's, you know, the libtards that are getting it the worst? I think that at the very least, people should be protecting their cities, their communities. Most of you that are watching are from flyover country, or maybe some other country out there. But, you know, most people in San Francisco aren't going to be watching this show. And, you know, let them enjoy the, you know, the technology, the wireless earbuds and the like. 100 milliwatts with those wireless earbuds. I love Apple. You know, send earbuds to all the libtards that you hate. You know, send them some fucking brain cancer, ladies and gentlemen. Get them a Fitbit too. You know, people, you know, are you forced to give gifts to people that you don't like? Get them wireless shit. You know, the wireless earbuds, you know, anything wireless, you know, send that to them first. That's a gift that keeps on giving. And, you know, I could go on and on, you know, with stories like that. But, you know, I was watching, I don't know, some kind of video with, like, you know, Washington Post reporters with laptops, you know, on their laps, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, boy, you people just didn't get the memo. They changed the name from laptops to netbooks because you're not supposed to keep them on your laps due to the electric fields as well as the RF radiation. And so, you know, these people are just blasting their gonads and shit, writing their propaganda, you know what I mean? Eating the GMOs, drinking the Kool-Aid. And it's like, well, you know, stay out of the way, man. Stay out of the way. They don't want to hear you anyways, but you want to save yourselves. And I think that we're going to start seeing these death towers come down, you know, pretty quickly, one way or the other. And, you know, there's just no reason why people should just sit there and get dosed by these things. You know, you should have a right to opt out. And so, you know, let people opt out. And if it means, you know, throwing a little lighter fluid on the situation, you know, metaphorically speaking, of course, right? We're just trying to... What the fuck happened to the video guy? You know, this is live television. How's everybody doing out there in the audience? This is not the video, dude. Okay. But, you know, all of this cabling, all of this insulation, it's made of rubber and, you know, soaked in, you know, in just about anything, and it'll just go up like a Christmas tree. Lighter fluid, gasoline, you know, whatever comes handy out there in the country. But, you know, they're heavily dependent on ventilation as well. So there's all sorts of ins and outs with these things, according to experts. Now, of course, you know, don't try this at home, ladies and gentlemen. You know, this is a parody. You know, I'm sure some people are thinking seriously, like, yeah, you know, look how easy it is. You just, you know, squirt a little lighter fluid and, you know, a Roman candle or something, and boom, bitches, you know. But don't let temptation get you. I know you've been looking at these death towers for a long time, thinking to yourselves, man, I would just like to take that thing down. How do I do it, right? And, you know, by looking at these videos, you can just tell that the insulation just burns like rubber. And these things run so hot anyways, it really wouldn't take much to get them going. But ladies and gentlemen, don't get the wrong idea out there. Go to city council, hand out flyers, get people interested in taking these things down the legal way. Don't let temptation drive you to do something you might regret, because undoubtedly they will throw the fucking book at you if you get busted. And you shouldn't be clipping wires unless you're an electrician, and you can be absolutely sure that you're not going to get juiced. But there are specialists out there, there are experts out there. They're posting videos, they're explaining how to do it. And there's definitely success stories out there. Look at these things. Just isn't it like pleasurable to look at, though? Wouldn't you like to see more videos like this? Find us more videos like that, ladies and gentlemen. And but remember, there's no such thing as anonymous on the internet. No such thing. And all of the encryption and all of the Tor networks and the like are there just to make you think like you're safe. But be careful out there. These death towers, they're fucking devastating, man. And it's not just that. It's the whole artificial synthetic EMF that's out there, the whole lot of it. And what we're kind of thinking about right now is the sub 1 megahertz range, believe it or not, for anybody that's kind of like a radio head or whatever. But that's usually used for over the horizon radar and other things, because it just penetrates so well, goes forever. And we're picking up like just background low spectrum sub 1 megahertz. It's at least 4 or 5 milliwatts in the country, and that's pretty huge. That's like being next to a death tower. If it was a death tower broadcasting at 900 megahertz or 21 megahertz, you'd see something comparable. And the entire world is flooded with this ultra low EMF right now. And undoubtedly, that's having some effects, because those ranges are the most dangerous. They start impacting biological frequencies directly. The brain works at about 15 hertz. Your arm bones resonate at something like 300 megahertz, or no, more like 300 kilohertz or something like that, but at really low frequencies. And your bones can actually become what's referred to as a parasitic antenna. And that's a really interesting phenomenon. I kind of want to just repeat a little bit of the important things of yesterday's broadcast, which was that Wi-Fi and these death towers will penetrate everything, all materials, to a certain extent. You're never going to get 100% blockage with Mylar or even tinfoil. Tinfoil seems to work the best, unless you're talking about like cookie sheet kind of metal. But it's impossible to block it out, and it's only going to get worse. There's no opting out, and that's really that's an amoral act. You can't opt out of this radiation, unless you want to go live in a cave or a bubble somewhere. And I think that's that's really the only argument you need, is look, this stuff is yet to be fully tested and certified as safe, and there's just no way to opt out. It's like being in Jonestown and everybody's being forced to drink the Kool-Aid. I don't think people should have to go out like that. And this is still the video, I think, of 2020, blowing everybody away, where you're seeing the new 5G network at Lake Tahoe, and it's worse than a microwave oven. And the dude's not even outside. Turns on the microwave oven, he gets about 15, 16 milliwatts per meter squared, and he goes up to the window, and it's over 20 milliwatts, because that's the max of that tri-field meter. And it's worse than the microwave oven. At the window of the microwave is safer. Being at the window of the microwave is safer than being at the window of this hotel room in Lake Tahoe. And you can't imagine what it's like in Las Vegas right now, or San Francisco, or Chicago, right? I mean, Lake Tahoe is, nice, but it's not the big city. And yeah, I mean, what else can you say? You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out, look, I'd rather not live in a fucking microwave oven. And you can't opt out. I mean, this is your life now. Look at this fucking video. You see this video? You see these readings, like right in front of the microwave oven? I mean, do you usually, sit there and watch, your dinner cook in the microwave? Is that what you do? It's going to be worse outside than sitting there watching the microwave oven. What does that tell you? Is that okay? And the Wi-Fi is literally a microwave oven. And basically all this technology is like a microwave oven, just at different frequencies. Some are better, some are worse, but it's all pretty much bad. And again, they're putting this like right next to your fucking window. They're putting this like on your street, on everybody's street. It's coming to everybody's school. It's coming, and right now you should see the targeting patterns. That's how we know it's weaponized, because I mean, they're even targeting playgrounds. We've gone to quite a few playgrounds where like the spotlight of the Death Tower is shining like right on the playground. Who does that? Ladies and gentlemen, who does that? So what's going on out there? Is it still buffering? Yeah, that's the problem with live broadcasts, ladies and gentlemen. But we're doing the best that we can for this warm-up live show. I really want to interact with people out there. I wish, one of these days we could get somebody to call in, like a talk radio show. You could tell us about your experiences. I could interview you. You could call in. I could interview you and ask you questions. Like, how witchy are your neighbors out there? You got any death towers? What have you done, for the truther community lately? Have you organized anything in your town to stop the fluoride, to stop the 5G? I mean, those are two easy things that everybody should be hitting up in their town. Make friends along the way and get ready for what's coming next, ladies and gentlemen. They want your guns. They want your guns. They want you so disarmed. They want you, little bitches crying in the dark, grabbing your ankles, and you'll be begging for the Astroglide by the time these guys are done with you. You know what I mean? And who are you gonna call when they start beaming you? You think you're gonna be able to walk into the police department and go, the Death Towers are attacking me? Nobody's gonna believe you. But this technology exists, and that's exactly what they're made for. We've posted a couple articles on our website, stfnreport.com. That talks about, using these Death Towers as a passive radar system to track, speeding objects, little objects. And now, with the new street lamps and the like, and the, network of sensors in the cities, I mean, they can track you like you can't even believe. I mean, you write one wrong little thing about the establishment, and you're going to be on their grid. And you'll never get off of it. You know what I mean? And they'll just be able to relentlessly attack you and everybody like you, for free. For free. I mean, this is just like a contingency plan. It's a move on the chessboard that nobody can accept. No, you cannot fucking park Death Towers everywhere, Mr. Zuckerberg and all of you cocksuckers from Silicon Valley, Sodom and Gomorrah. No, you can't use your Death Towers like secret little fucking ninja weapons and dose everybody while they're sleeping. No, we will not accept these, these eugenics programs, or the possibility that these Death Towers may be weaponized for the benefit of, of radicals from Sodom and Gomorrah. And look, if you are a betting person out there, these things are going to be used against you. What would you do if you were Dr. Evil? You know what I mean? Imagine you had this network right now, and on your desktop, you could just target whoever you want to. Just type in their name, their phone number, their profile from any socialist media platform. You just go, you just go target. And then you just forget about it. The system takes care of the rest. Non-stop targeting, automatic, tracking you day and night. Look, nobody can risk this even being a possibility in our country. And looking at how they've weaponized everything else, whether it be from Congress to, these socialist media platforms to the television. I mean, tell me that the television isn't biased. Tell me that the television isn't biased out there. That the devilism isn't biased out there. Tell me that these people are on your side, doing, being good little civil servants and corporate leaders and the like. Of course, these people are out to get you. And nobody can afford to take the risk that these death towers would be weaponized for their advantage. And I think that the only safe assumption right now is that these death towers have been weaponized and are going to be further weaponized in the future to the detriment of conservatives and Christians out there. I have no doubt about it. And so the question is, what are we going to do? And these people on television, they're not coming to save you. Normally you would say, oh, well, we've got, due process. We've got, some kind of civil recourse. We can protest our government and they'll listen to us, right? Oh, no, they'll just, basically change the subject on your ass. They'll start talking about Iranians, Syrians, Russians, Romulans, you name it. They'll bring it up. And before you know it, you'll be thinking about that 24/7 and not even thinking about these death towers. And that's the scam, And so these people are never going to listen to you. They're never going to help you. They're never going to stop. They're just going to build, more of these death towers. They're going to fluoridate more water. They're going to mandate more vaccines. 20 years ago, you never met anybody that was autistic. Now everybody knows somebody with an autistic kid. Don't tell me that, that everything's okay when you see, the direction that this country is going. And, these people on television, they're not your friend. Despite, how much you might like the con man, these people are not your friend. And again, what are the chances that these people would actually, look like the devil? You know what I mean? And, this just tells you that it literally is the pages of the Bible playing out before your very eyes. They're trying to roll out this beast system. They want to, chip everybody with the mark of the beast. And, before you know it, you'll get the brain chip. You'll be implanted into their matrix. You'll be locked in. You'll be like locked in syndrome. You'll be awake, but you won't be in control. It'll be a nightmare you can't even wake up from. You'll be begging for the astral glide. You'll be begging to go out like Epstein, ladies and gentlemen. Because, what's coming is worse than what people can possibly imagine. And they've already transformed our cities into like a virtual death camp. Instead of gas, they're using radiation. And they're keeping people here, through jobs and mortgages and the like. There's no escape. You wouldn't want to escape your local FEMA camp. Where would you go? How would you tweet? How would you, go on Facebook or ScrewTube? How would you, do anything without their death grid? And so they've got you right where they want you, ladies and gentlemen. And look, I mean, I grew up in the 90s for the most part. We partied just fine without, cell phones and the like. It was actually a little more human back then. People would talk face to face, big house parties, and, it was like, you just didn't see zombies on, hunched over, on their phones, like glowing, with that pale blue kind of light. It's disturbing. Watching the world today, it's fucking disturbing. And seeing these death towers everywhere, it's disturbing. And, we'll keep talking about it because nobody else is talking about it. And everything that you'll see out there for the most part when it comes to these death towers, it's positive. It's like, it's so wonderful, I can download a movie in like 0.1 seconds and it's phenomenal. But, these people haven't the slightest clue as how these things work. They couldn't tell you what a dipole antenna is. They couldn't tell you, what the biological effects of this radiation are. They're just totally clueless. It's like those people you see, on the videos when you ask them to point out a country, and they're just like, I don't know where Africa is. I don't know where Australia is. Really? But they're like, they're totally convinced that their cell phone is safe. And these are the people that that don't get censored. Everybody else that has any kind of grasp of what's going on out there, automatically they're gonged, they're just ejected off stage. It's like some kind of dark comedy out there. And if it wasn't so serious, it'd be funny, to see all the censorship and and people getting locked up because they're patriots and the like. It would almost be like some kind of Twilight Zone science fiction movie, except this is really happening. They're really going after people like Julian Assange and the like, and they really did kill Epstein, and it's just so far out, man. And look, there's tons of names in the body count, Seth Rich and many others. Look, if it wasn't so real, it'd be funny. Oh, Hillary got busted and she whacked the leaker. Ha ha ha. Oh shit, she did. And look, they busted Epstein and he's gonna bring down the whole network. Oh shit, they took down Epstein. You just couldn't make this stuff up. And now we're right back where we were like 2 years ago. The Russians, the Ukrainians, the Syrians and the like. So that's basically the whole thing. How's everybody doing out there? And yeah, I'm never gonna stop talking. I'm actually just kind of warming up for the real show. And maybe eventually we'll kind of clip some of this stuff out, but I figured, while we can, we'll come on air and give everybody a safe space to hang out. Hopefully there's not too many trolls in the audience going, oh, these death towers are safe and the like. I think, everybody really needs to kind of look at, what this phased array technology is all about, what this 5G is really all about, because it's not just an upgrade. The technology here is, part of a control grid that scans, targets, and eliminates. And it's the perfect weapon because, most people, they just kind of spend their entire lives within the city limits. Are you that kind of person? You never leave the city limits. You're always in the city. You go to work, you go to the grocery store, you go to the bar, you go home. Is that your life? And so, that's the way it is for most people, right? So along the way, going to work, going to the club, wherever, you're getting zapped, ladies and gentlemen. And they're putting these death towers like strategically so that they can zap the most amount of people in ways that are just like, unforgivable. When you see the readings for yourselves and how they're targeting people right now, even with like, the classic death towers, they're creating these spotlights, at choke points where people have to go. And that tells you, these people are out to ambush you. That's what these things are there for. It's not about cell phone coverage. It's about irradiating people. And, when you look at the doses here, ladies and gentlemen, it's incredible. And that's why, we recommend that everybody get a meter, shop around, get the one that's right for you. The El Cheapo from Home Depot doesn't pick up these death towers. They pick up static fields, from like high powered, from high voltage power lines, but they don't, pick up the EMF waves. And so, you'll have to get something that's at least $100 to pick up these death towers. Most of them run, between 200 and 400. The EMF 390 runs $100, and it's got all sorts of features that the other ones don't, like the RF browser mode and the spectrum mode, which we find real handy for fox hunting death towers, as well as understanding, what you're being dosed with. And the next battlefield, or the battlefield of the future, is really going to be electronic warfare. And it's the perfect weapon. The speed of light, you don't have to manufacture stock ammunition, and these death towers are really just kind of like the beginning of that revolution. And soon you'll have these handheld, mega weapons that just put out death rays that people can't see or hear. It's like the perfect sniper rifle. I mean, there's all sorts of applications. And I think, people should be thinking about this seriously, especially with like Terminators and drones and the like on the horizon. Energy weapons are going to be, people's best defense for what's coming. A normal AR-22 really isn't just going to cut it against a platoon of Terminators. Maybe a minigun will, but you're obviously going to be targeted, located immediately upon right away. So it's the energy weapons are going to be the forefront of the next arms race. And they've already begun weaponizing our cities and the like with these death towers that can now aim beams at individuals. And since everybody's got a phone, I mean, it's just too easy to pick people off silently. It's the perfect crime. Beam forming is the perfect crime. It's the perfect way to murder people. And nobody can afford to just allow this to happen. It'd be like if the Russians just started parking a bunch of nuclear weapons in Mexico. There'd be a huge fucking crisis. You've got all of these devil worshippers from San Francisco parking death towers in everybody's neighborhoods, and you're just supposed to trust them with this beamforming technology. Hello out there. Does anybody see an issue with that? And how's everybody doing out there? It seems like everybody's saying hi. And look, are you guys getting the scope of this at all? Anybody out there? But yeah, you can't allow people like Zuckerberg and other people like him to park death towers in your neighborhood. It's bad news. And whether you know that or not, I guess is a different question. What you think about that, I guess, is another question. And what are people willing to do? And I think that there basically needs to be kind of like a reckoning, or what do they call them when one of them kind of like flash mobs. I think there needs to be kind of like a flash mob on these death towers. One day, people just kind of like pick a day of protest and participate in a little civil disobedience and take these death towers down, like collectively overnight, like a crystal night, for the death towers. And I think that will be coming. I think we'll start seeing more cancer clusters and other diseases spring up thanks to these death towers, and people are going to want to act. In any case, I mean, there's just no denying the facts as is. Right now your cities are being transformed into an environment that's worse than a microwave oven, and or at least as bad as being right in front of it while it's on. And that just can't be good for you. And I think that's reason enough for most people to just kind of like act. If you were getting readings like this at your local daycare, would you bring your kids there? At your local school, would you keep your kids there? If your place of work was this bad, would you go to that? Would you go to that job? If your home was this bad, would you stay there and do nothing? That's really the question that we're asking people out there today. It is this bad, and it's going to get worse. And if people just sit back and, pretend like, nothing is going on, then, it's like going into the gas chamber. It's all over. It may not be as instantaneous, but, the studies are conclusive that, something will get you. There'll be repercussions to this. Already, right now, 1 out of 3 people will die of cancer out there. Those numbers are already very high, and with these death towers, with these new death towers, you can expect those numbers to go up quite significantly. And that's how they get away with it, because people don't just basically succumb to these death towers immediately on the street. It's like a time bomb, and people die from all sorts of diseases related to death towers, and people just aren't putting it together. One of the things that these death towers do is they weaken your immune system. And that means that we would expect, more and more people to die from just the cold every year, from the flu. And that's what we're seeing. In fact, those numbers are rather disturbing. During the swine flu, there was like 10 or 12,000 deaths in America. In the 2017-2018 flu season, there were 80,000 deaths due to flu in America, and that made the news. It was like record. And you remember, when the swine flu was there in 2010, 2012, everybody was, washing their hands a million times a day, antiseptic shit everywhere. It was like, the movie Outbreak, right? And 10,000 people, they said, died. And that was nothing compared to 2017, 2018. Do you think that made the news? Do you think people are connecting the dots to immunosuppression? And, that's just one, of the pathways that these death towers will get you. It's serious. And it'll make it look like people were killed, due to natural causes. So I think we'll leave it there for this warm-up. I think we'll try again with a regular broadcast, a shorter broadcast for syndication. But look, it was a pleasure talking at everybody out there. I wish we could talk to each other a little bit more. I think we'll open up, kind of like a way to call in through Skype. So if anybody's interested in that, get your Skype ready. And we'll kind of announce an address where people can call in and get on the show, and we can talk about what you guys think, of the current situation. But, here's just another broadcast on the death towers. But, talking about it is, right now for sure the best way to, address the issue. And the more people we have on board, the better it is. And as far as, mitigation, knowing what you're being exposed to is a big factor. And we recommend getting a meter. Shop around. We've decided to promote the EMF 390 because it works really well. For $100, it blows away the competition. It's got all sorts of features, and it allows you to see what other people just can't see. And I think it's a lifesaver. I'll be honest with you. This thing is well worth the $100. It's cheaper than the deductible, and you get it directly from the manufacturer. So from GQ Electronics. And you get a 1-year warranty. It's made in Seattle. Excellent customer service, excellent reviews. So this is a genuine article. For $100, it's well worth it. And it's like it's probably the best kind of toy, if you want to call it that, the best instrument to have in your toolkit, because you can just see all sorts of things out there. And the science tells you that this is a killer. And I guess, if you're joining us late, you'll probably want to, check everything out on replay on demand. We kind of talked about the targeting capabilities of these death towers. We've listed some articles on our website, stfnreport.com, that talks about the passive radar abilities of these death towers. They're all emitting, they're always broadcasting like a radar, omnidirectional type. And these things are everywhere. So the tracking capabilities of these death towers, as well as your phones through EMF waves and Wi-Fi routers, is a conversation that they're not going to want to have anytime soon. But I think it's important that people do talk about this, the targeting capabilities of these death towers, who's in control of these death towers, and what is the likelihood that these things will be used against you, without your knowledge. And look, I think that nobody out there, not people in federal agencies or people on television, nobody out there can guarantee you that these death towers aren't weaponized. And nobody can read the code, nobody can make out the topography of these chipsets, nobody knows what's going on with these death towers. And quite honestly, being somewhat technical, looking at the teardowns and the like of these devices, I mean, it's like nothing you've ever seen before. It's way beyond the consumer shit, like the phones and the computers and the laptops. The chipsets and the architecture in these death towers is beyond anything you've ever seen. And some of these things have got like some serious some serious work in them. They look kind of like cheap and flimsy, but some of them have like all sorts of just incredible cavities, like a magnetron, chipsets like a fucking satellite. These things are like way overdone. For being a radio transmitter, these things are way overdone. Essentially, this is the same technology that two-way radios use to communicate. But when you see what these things actually have under the hood, it's scary, man. And when you see what they can do in terms of beamforming and passive listening, it's dangerous. These things are dangerous, and of course they're connected to an unlimited power supply. They're on 24/7, connected to the AI. These things are so bad news, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely convinced that these things are a disaster. And the idea that they're going to be in everybody's neighborhood, just a few feet away when they can transmit for hundreds of miles. You look at the Elon Musk satellites. We're going to close on this, I promise. But you look at these Elon Musk satellites, the Starlink 5G satellites that are going to be, beaming 5G to people. These satellites are going to be, about 300 miles, off the surface in low orbit. I know some people are going to flat earth me on that one. Flat moon right back to you. But, the 5G and the satellites that are running on like 2.5, kilovolts or whatever, like a hairdryer, a power supply of a hairdryer, can broadcast, a beam 300 miles away with perfect reception, 5G speeds, 300 miles away, but they got to park one of these fucking death towers 150 feet away from you. Give me a break, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I mean? These things are there so that they can scan and, track everything around it and target it like, like a death grid. That's what this is. And, one death tower, look, at the worst case, you could probably do a whole city with a couple death towers, about 10, 15 miles away. But, you know, they want these things everywhere. And they can claim whatever they want to, but, you know, this energy goes through just about everything. And so, you know, look, we could argue all day about, you know, what these things are, but, you know, we'll just keep it simple and say, you know, there's an army of doctors and professors and the like that are trying to stop these death towers. They've seen the research, but this government wants to, you know, roll them out everywhere and, you know, not address any of the big issues like, you know, the terraforming and the other eugenics programs. And look, they just want everybody talking about impeachment or Iran or the Russians, but not the eugenics programs. So that tells you everything you need to know. You can tell them by their fruits. We'll leave it there for this broadcast. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Much love to everybody that's out there in the chat. I'm glad that, you know, we can all get together online, but nothing replaces, you know, having a network in the real world. Be a superhero in your community. Start handing out flyers against 5G. Meet like-minded people. Start a group. You know, start, you know, a clique in your town, and you know, and kind of go from there. But, you know, prepare, ladies and gentlemen, because it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better, and there's no replacing, you know, people in the real world, you know, when they flip that switch. And in the meantime, you know, keep waking up people out there. Feel free to mirror this content. We appreciate if people could, you know, start a page, dress it up, and mirror, you know, every broadcast that we do. And you know, chances are you'll reach more people than we will, because, you know, we're basically at the top of their, you know, red list. And so it's real difficult to get the you know, the information out there. But, you know, look, it's like that for everybody right now. This is a serious chapter in American history, you know, where people are being censored and persecuted and targeted for political reasons. And, you know, we now live in a country where, you know, the candidates are all pre-selected, and, you know, they're either part of, you know, one country club or another, but they're, you know, they're not average people, to say the least. Like I said, we'll leave it there for this broadcast. We'll put out something a little more snappy here in the near future. It's been an hour. Wow, look at that. Till the next time. If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.